Hello, welcome to the Lectures Desk. Get your medical thoughts cleared before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Lectures Desk once again. Today we are going to talk about reading of EKG. How the 12-lead EKG can be read. Do you understand? Now, let's look at something here. When you take the graph, one thing that you must know is you must know a normal component of the graph so that you can differentiate it with a pathological one. Do you understand? Because if you don't know the normal, how will you know the pathology? Now, in this class, we'll be talking about the normal component of the waves, the segments, the intervals. Do you understand? So that when you take it and it's what? It's not normal. You'll be thinking of a pathology. Are you clear with that? Now, let's get into it. When you take the graph, there's one basic thing that you shouldn't forget. That is the boxes in the graph. It is very, very important. If you want to understand this class very well, you have to what? Try to remember, or you have to what? Get the boxes in your head. It is very, very important. And it is easy way to read what? The EKG. Now, let's look at something here. If you take the graph, we have big boxes and small boxes. You understand? One big box contains 25 small boxes. And when you take a box, the horizontal line of a box represents the time taken for the wave to travel. The vertical line of a box represents the amplitude of the wave, which is the intensity of the wave, and it's measured in what? In millivolts. Do you understand? Now, let's take one small box and look at it very well. When you take one small box over here, the horizontal, which is the time, is 0.04 seconds. And then the vertical, which is the amplitude, is 0.1 millivolts. So, for one big box, which contains what? 5 small boxes at the horizontal, is going to get what? A 0.04 seconds times 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is going to give us what? 0.2 seconds for one big box. And then when you take the vertical line of a big box, we are going to get what? 5 small boxes. And one vertical line too is 0.1 millivolts. So we multiply it by 5 and you are going to get what? 0.5 millivolts. Are you clear with it? So one big box is 0.5 millivolts. That's for the vertical. And then the horizontal, which is the time, is 0.2 seconds. Now, if I want to talk about 2 boxes, I'll just add another 0.5. So for 2 boxes, I'm going to get 1 millivolts for the vertical. And then for 2 boxes, the horizontal, which is the time, I'm going to get 0.4 seconds. So 0.2 plus another 0.2 over here, which will give me what? 0.4 seconds. Are we clear with it? So this is what the basic thing that we must know. Now let's go into the waves and then their normal range. Do you understand? The time taken for each wave. Do you understand? And then the amplitude for each wave. So that when you get a graph, the EKG graph, and this normal waves, you can't find it. It is more than that. It gives you what? An idea of what? A pathology. Are you clear with it? Now let's look at something here. We take the P wave. We know the P wave represents what? The depolarization of the 2 atria. Now, the P wave over here, it is not what? The same in all the lists. I'll talk about that one. Now, the P wave has an amplitude of 2.5 boxes. Why am I using boxes instead of writing the time? The boxes are so easy to remember than remembering the time. Do you understand? Now, so 2.5 boxes, but I'm going to blend the 2. 2.5 boxes is going to give us 0.25 millivolts for the amplitude. That is the height. Do you understand? So, meaning 2.5 of these boxes must be what? The height of a P wave. So when you take a P wave and it is more than 2.5 a box, when it is 3, it must give you an idea that no, there's something wrong somewhere, so I must check it very well. Do you understand? So more than 2.5 a box, do you understand? 2.5 boxes give you an idea of dilation of the right atrium. You understand? Now let's look at something over here. The time taken for the P wave to travel, you understand, is also 3 boxes, meaning it is 0.12 seconds. So when I take the P wave, which is over here, the P wave must have what? Must have the width, the time, the width must be 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3. When it is more than that, it might give me an idea of what? A pathology, which is the dilation of the left atrium. Do you understand? And then the amplitude, 1, 2, 2.5 is normal. When it's more than that, give me an idea of the dilation of the right atrium. Are you clear with it? Now, another one, it is not the same on the list. Now, in some lists they are positive, some lists they are negative, and some lists they are biphasic. In which list can we get what? The positive. We can get the positive in what? The D1, the D2, the D3. Do you understand? The AVL, the AVF, and then we can get the V2 to V6. They are all what? Positive. But when you come to V1 and then AVR, it is negative. It is negative. And then when you come to the V1 also, sometimes you won't see it as negative. You will see it as what? Diphasic. As biphasic. In the form of this positive and negative deflections. This is what? The V1. The V1 most of the times is what? Biphasic. And sometimes it is negative. But the AVR is always what? Negative. So when you see this wave on V1, you must think of what? A normal wave. A negative on V1 is a normal wave. Positive on the rest of the what? List, it is what? Normal. You understand? So that is that for the P wave. That is that for P wave. Now let's look at something here. Let's look at the interval, the PR interval, which is the time taken for blood to move from the atria, the 2 atria, into the ventricles. Do you understand? And this PR interval has a range of what? Between 3 boxes to 5 boxes. So it must be between 0.12 seconds and 0.2 seconds. You understand? If it is less than this, you understand? Less than this, you must think of something else. If it is more than this, 0.2 seconds, you must think of something else. If you can't remember, it's supposed to be between what? 3 boxes and 5 boxes. So basically it's supposed to be like normally it's supposed to be 4. You understand? Or if not 4 or get to the extreme, it's normal. You understand? But when it's what? Below that, it's not between these numbers. You understand? We talk of what? A pathology. Now What can we say when it is what? Less. When it is less, that means it can be that the electrical impulse wasn't generated from the SA node, but it was generated in the AV node. So it took what? A lesser time to get to the ventricle. Are you clear with it? And then we can also talk of what? An accessory via through which what? The electrical impulse travel to the ventricle. And this we can talk of certain diseases like Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. So for that one, I might give you what? An idea of it. When it is more than what? The 0.2 seconds, do you understand? You must think of what? A delayer. We can be what? A block. So it can be what? An AV block. So this is how it's supposed to be. The normal is supposed to be between what? 0.12 seconds and 0.2 seconds. Now, let's continue from the PR interval. And now let's come to the QRS complex, which is the depolarization of the ventricles. Now, let's look at it. If we take the QRS complex, the width, which is the time, supposed to be 3 boxes, and when it's 3 boxes, it is same as what? 0.12 seconds. So it must take 0.12 seconds in there. When it is more than that, you understand? When it is more than that, we talk of the dilation of the ventricles. When it is less, very less, we talk of what? The hypertrophy of the ventricles. The hypertrophy of the ventricles. Are you clear with it? So we should take note of that one. When it is less, and then the amplitude is very high. You understand? When it is less, talk of what? The hypertrophy of the ventricles. When it is what? More, talk of what? The dilation of the ventricles. Are you clear with it? Now, let's come to the amplitude. The amplitude supposed to be on the limb list. On the limb list, the amplitude supposed to be at least you should get one lead among the limb list that will be having 0.5 millivolts of the QRS complex. Now look at something over here. We have our QRS complex over here. Do you understand? So on the limb list, this QRS complex, some of the list supposed to be, for example, D1 or D2 must have at least 0.5 millivolts. That means must have what? One big box or 5 small boxes. Are we clear with it? So we should take note of what? That one. And then on the precordial list, what happens is there must be at least a lead in there which will record more than which will record 2 big boxes, which is 1 millivolts. Or we talk about the small boxes, which will record 10 small boxes. Are you clear with it? So either 10 small boxes or 2 big boxes, which is what? 1 millivolts. That is for the precordial list. So if you take the precordial list, for the lead to be normal, some of these precordial lists must read at least 1 millivolts. And if you take the lymph list, some of these leads must read at least 0.5 millivolts. Are you clear with it? So this is basically for the QRS complex. Now, aside that, let's look at what? The Q wave over here. The Q wave must also be less than 1 small box. Must be less than 1 small box. must be less than one small box, which is 0.04 seconds. Must be less than 0.04 seconds. And then its amplitude. You understand? Its amplitude supposed to be less than what? One third of the R wave. So if you take the R wave, the Q must be what? Less than one third of it. So when you take the graph and then the Q is more than one third of the R, it might give you an idea of what? An abnormality, which can be what? An infarction. Are you clear with it? And this is actually on what? Certain what list, which is what? D1, the AVL, the V6, the V5. You understand? So that is for the Q wave. Now, from the Q wave over there, let me also talk about the QRS complex on the list. It is also different on some of the lists. For example, if you take the AVR and the V1, this is what? Negative. The lead is the QRS complex give a negative what? Reading. Are we clear? So when you see it, it must tell you that it's a normal. These are normal ones. You understand? And then from there, the other list, which is the D1, D2, D3, the AVL, AVF, and then the other list, they are also what? Positive, as we see over here. You understand? So that is that. And for example, like V3, V4, they can be what? Biphasic. You get what? Both positive and what? A negative what? Reading. Are you clear with it? Now, that is for the QRS complex. Now, let's look at the ST segment. The ST segment. It is also important thing to know. The ST segment. Now, the ST segment is also an isoelectric line. This. So let me take, this is what our ST segment is, an isoelectric line. Supposed to be what? An isoelectric line. So, in a condition in which this isoelectric line deviates more than one small box, it must tell you, must bring your mind or idea about what? A pathology of the heart, which is what can be what? The infarction, the ischemic. You understand? Now, let's look at the time. A time to supposed to be from 2 boxes to about 5 boxes. Sorry, from 2 boxes to 3. From 2 boxes to 3 boxes. Are you clear with it? So from 0.08 to 0.12 seconds. That is the time taken for the ST. You understand? And then the ST actually starts. It starts from this point, which is called the J joint or J point or J junction. This point, the point of the X is called what? The J point or the J junction, and then it ends at the beginning of the T wave. Are you clear with it? Now let's continue with that. Let's come with the T wave. The T wave, this is our T wave. This is our T wave. Okay, the T wave must also have a horizontal, or the time for the T wave must be less than 5 boxes, less than 0.2 seconds, or less than 5 small boxes. Are we clear with it? And then it shouldn't what? Exceed, in some leads, shouldn't exceed, the amplitude shouldn't exceed 0.5 millivolts. Do you understand? Or 5 boxes, or one big box. One big box. So, are you clear with it? Now, and in some specific lists, like the V3, V4, it is mostly 2, which is 0.08 second, which is 0.2 millivolts. And then for the V5 and V6, which is what? 0.1 millivolts, or 1 box. You understand? But in total, it shouldn't exceed 0.5 millivolts, or 5 boxes, small boxes. Now, it is also not the same on all the lists. Some of the lists is positive and some of the lists is negative. Now, let's look at the list. Let's look at the list in which they are positive over there. So, amongst all the lists, it is positive, except AVR, which is what? Negative. Are you clear with it? So, that is how the T wave also what? Represent. Now, let's come to the last one, the QT interval. The QT interval, we actually take it according to the sex, males and what? Females. When we take males, the QT interval, the QT interval supposed to be 0.4 seconds, which is 2 big boxes. Do you understand? Or 10 small boxes. And then in females, supposed to be 0.44 seconds, which is 11 small boxes. Are we clear with it? So when you take it, check the sex. When you are reading, check the sex of the person, so that it gives you what? An idea of what the QT what? Interval. Are you clear with it? So this is basically the basic things that we must know on the graph. Do you understand? To give us an idea of a pathological what? EKG graph. Are you clear with it? Now let's take a quick resume over here. I have my quick resume of all what I've been saying. Now, if you take the P wave, the time is supposed to be what? 3 boxes. The amplitude is supposed to be 2.5 boxes, and then it is positive in all the lists except AVR and then V1. So AVR and V1, they are negative, and it's only V1 which is what? Biphasic. It is over here, both positive and negative, biphasic. Now let's come to the PR interval. It's supposed to be between what? 0.12 seconds and 0.2 seconds, and it's what? 3 boxes and 5 boxes. QRS complex, the time is supposed to be 0.2 seconds, which is what? 3 boxes, and then the amplitude, at least you must get what? 1 lead in the what? The limb lead that will read 0.5 millivolts, and then at least you must get 1 lead in the precordial lead that will read 1 millivolt, which is what? 10 small boxes or 2 big boxes. Now let's come to the Q. The Q is supposed to be what? Less than 0.04 seconds. Are you clear with that one? And also the amplitude is supposed to be less than 1/3 of the R wave. Now, this one must be on a specific list, and which are the D1, the AVR, the AVL, the V5, and then the V6, and might give you an idea of an inversion. Now, the QRS complex is also positive in all the lists except AVR, V1, and then the V2. You understand? The AVR we know, and then the V12 we know to be the negative. So the V2 is more negative, and then you come to the V3, V4. It is diphasic. It is positive and negative. Now let's come to the T wave. The T wave actually represents it must have the same direction as the QR complex. It must have the same direction as the QR complex on the linked list. It is very important, and it is round and asymmetric. You understand? It is not. It is something like this. It is It's not symmetric. It's asymmetric. Now, and it is also positive in all the lists except AVR. You understand? So this is basically the basic concept of the reading of the EKG. If you know this concept, the upcoming one that you are going to talk about, you get it so fast and easy because you'll be applying it over here. You understand? And I will urge you to use the boxes than the time, because the boxes are so simple. The P must be the width must be 3. The height must be 2.5. That's it. So this is basically what we will talk about today. If you find the class so interesting, so please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and then comment it. Also recommend it to a friend so that we all can benefit from the usefulness of this channel. Thank you for staying with me till this time. See you in my next class.